Paltrocast.
Chris, thank you for taking the time. And I have a two-part introductory question. The first part, how are you today? And the second part is, how much mail intended for the Notorious B.I.G. accidentally comes to you?
I'll take the first part of every day, which I'm grateful to be here, and I'm having a great day, and I love life. So I'm doing wonderful today. And now after that question, I'm doing even better. But I've gotten I've gotten so much weird stuff. You have no idea. I actually keep a little Notorious B.I.G. Funko Pop on my register at the shop. So it's pretty awesome. I found out about that when I was like in fifth grade, and I'm like a little chubby white kid in a Catholic school. And of all people, my mother told me, "Hey, some rapper has your name," and I'm like, "What?" And that was it. So I take that as a badge of honor. R.I.P. B.I.G.
Agreed. And, you know, you're very interesting to me on a few levels. First, that you're bringing New Haven style pizza back and in a great way in Glendale, but also you are that overlapping thing of metal and wrestling and pop culture. So with that upcoming event, that's the wrestling event. Is that name of that event a reference to Back to the Future, like I think it is?
Yes. So the company we're working with, Wrestling Pro Wrestling, we're just all big nerds. I think what's great about living in LA, I've been here almost a decade now. I take pride in being a nerd. I have tons of Funko Pops. I listen to metal, pop punk, all that stuff since I was a kid. And part of my story is I got sober about 3 years ago. When I did, you go introspective, and I was like, I'm just gonna love myself and everything I've ever loved and just grow with it. So
Sure.
those three things are metal, wrestling, and pizza. And now that's my life. So I'm really grateful I get to do all three. And yeah, my friend Matt Robb, who's now a co-owner of Wrestling Pro Wrestling, came up with the name idea. We were spitballing, and I was like, well, it's around that Valentine's Day, it's around the Super Bowl, and it's also we love Back to the Future. So boom, St. Valentine's Day Massacre Under the Sea. And it's just awesome.
I'm hoping I'm not giving away a joke, but is anyone going to be cosplaying as Marvin Berry as part of the event?
There's a possibility that we will see. We will see. We have it's fun. So the event, not to jump ahead too much, is they're a comedy wrestling promotion. So all of the most of the matches are actually in best way to describe it is mascot outfits.
Yeah.
So large foam heads, everything, because they have a prop guy that makes them all. So we're really excited. We're debuting a character that we're sponsoring that's pizza related the night of the show, which I'm very excited. And I just got the news, and I'll announce it today. I get to be part of the show. So I am thrilled, and I'll make sure my pizza hands don't get hurt in any way, shape, or form. So I'm just super pumped about it.
So it sounds like Kaiju Big Battle, but in the modern era and with pizza.
Dude, you're the second person to say that, and I'll give you the Air 5 from across the Zoom link. It's nailed it. It's going to be, I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun.
So going down the pizza menu, there's some great pop culture references on the menu. Ray Liotta gets a shout out with one of your pizzas, but I see a "You're Welcome." Is that a Damien Sandow pizza?
I actually never even realized that, but that is an awesome deep dive into wrestling culture there. What it is so New Haven pizza, if you want to go back to the lineage of it,
Yeah.
Frank Pepe, the originator basically of the style in New Haven, Connecticut, over 100 years ago now, he put clams on a pizza first, just kind of out of necessity, because the story is that there was a bookie that was in his alleyway that kept bugging him about he had clams and he threw them on a pizza. I hope that story is true. I think that's pretty awesome. But he threw them on, so the famous white clam pie from Frank Pepe's was born. So when we started Ozzy's, I always said I'm never doing that because I'll never be able to touch that because there's a lot you have to get the right clams, you have to do this and that.
Yeah.
And then after a year, and we've been pretty successful with with the Liotta, which is the tomato pie, and doing authentic styles from from New Haven. I was like, all right, let me see what I can do. And gratefully, got a great fish distributor who can get me the clams from the Northeast. And I was like, I'll give it a try. So then my business partner, Craig, was like, what are we going to call it? I'm like, it's You're Welcome. Because everyone bugs me every day on DMs. When are you doing clam? When are you doing clam? I'm like, so here you go. You're welcome. And it's taken off, which is pretty cool.
So again, New Haven style pizza, but being a big baseball fan growing up, being a Mets fan, Bobby Valentine always said in interviews that he invented the wrap at his deli in New Haven. Have you ever heard that story?
Yeah, Bobby Valentine's nuts. I love him. I'm a Yankee guy, but it's a kindred spirits. As long as you're not a Red Sox fan, we can continue the interview. It's great. But yeah, I remember that story. He's a big staple in Connecticut, and he's crazy, and I love him to death. But he did not invent the rap. I will stand on that flag. But if he did, hey, good for you, Bobby. He also wore a mustache in the dugout one time. So
right, he got kicked out of the game. Fake stash. Genius.
Yeah.
So where I'm going with all that is not just non sequiturs and pop culture nonsense. It's that I'm in New York. People always talk about the greatest Italian food being in New York. But then the more people that you talk to in the Northeast, you find out that Rhode Island and Providence secretly have amazing Italian food. You don't really know about that. I've only been through New Haven once or twice, a wedding that I think our mutual friend Chewy was at, stuff like that. But is New Haven secretly a food haven and we just don't know it?
Oh, it's one of the best food havens in the country, if not the world, for Italian American food. So growing up, I grew up in East Haven, Connecticut, which is literally just one of the towns neighboring New Haven, and it's predominantly Italian American. So growing up, I literally just assumed that all Italian American food was this good everywhere. And then when I moved to California, I found out really quickly it was not. So that's what got me into pizza, was the deep dive of it, and the history of it's pretty simple. You know, when everyone started coming over to Ellis Island in the late 1800s, New York was the stopping point first, but New York started to get oversaturated, and business landscape started to get too saturated. So literally, like Frank Pepe, other people just started to travel north. And that's how you create this amazing belt of Italian American cuisine, starting in New York City and going all the way up into Massachusetts. And there's this thing, someone did an article called the Pizza Belt I read a while ago, and they say like you can get great pizza within 5 miles of your house if you live in like Rhode Island all the way down to, I think it's like South Jersey at the most. And it's beautiful. So yeah, besides like all the amazing pizzerias and everything in New Haven, we're also known for amazing Italian pastries, obviously. So there's a place called Libby's that's next door to Pepe's. So if you're looking to be in a food coma one day, you go to Pepe's for lunch and you literally cross the parking lot. You get an espresso, a cannoli, and Italian ice at Libby's, and your day's all set. And we're also like, Connecticut's also known for great burgers. Louis Lunch is the originator of the hamburger in New Haven. And what's interesting is, once I moved out here to California, I found out a lot of people went to college at Yale or UConn. So a lot of people knew about it from that. And then you find out that a lot of people stayed there after they graduated and built families there. And then they would move out, come back to the coast, and they bring that with them. So now at the pizzeria, it's beautiful to meet all these families. They're like, I haven't tasted this since college. And I met my wife at college over Pepe's or Sally's or something. And I like a lot of cuisines that are built in like immigrant culture. It's really, it's all familial, you know, and like it brings you back to that nostalgia of it. So if you ever can make a stop and I'm in town, we're going to go, you and me, we're going to do the whole run. We're going to eat about 12,000 calories, but it's going to be worth it.
Well, follow-up food question. One of the myths, I don't know if it's a myth, I don't know if it's a fact here, that you hear when you talk to people who've relocated to the West Coast is, oh, there's this great pizza place and then they obviously Los Angeles or Las Vegas, and they explain it's because they import the water. Is that true? or is that just something that people have been repeating?
Okay, this is a two-part answer, and I'm glad you asked this. So there is places that literally on the West Coast, they will remain nameless because I'm not giving them free promotion, but they literally have machines in their kitchen with branding that says New York water filtration system. We filtrate the water to taste like New York. That's the greatest marketing scheme I've ever seen in my life, first of all.
Snake oil, more or less.
Snake oil, yeah. And whether it does or not, whatever. You could talk to a million pizza guys. Water is extremely important, but it's all about consistency. And the one thing I've learned from making pizza for years and just talking to other people, New York water has an amazing mineral content that's consistent. So that's why people do say that. But you don't need to ship your water. I'll give you my buddies in college or high school owned a bakery, and they made like Italian bread, stuff like that. This is in Connecticut. And I remember the water question came up, and I was like, Mr. B, the owner, it's like, what water do you like? What do you do? He goes, I use bottled water. I was like, what do you mean you use bottled water? Like, because it's the same every time. And that's what tipped me off. Just consistency. Is there something to it? Yes, I guess in a molecular way, but whoever says that, like they're full of it, in my opinion.
I'm really appreciative of your honesty right there. So, to recap what we've talked about so far, pizza is a passion, pop culture, wrestling, etc. And it's wonderful that you're involved in the local community and presenting an event like this. You're not just going, hey, we're a pizza place, that's it. There's community involvement in the whole thing. And of course, the place is named after a dog. Is the dog named after Ozzy Osbourne, or is it short for Oswaldo, or where's the name come from?
Thanks for asking. Ozzy's floating around here somewhere, but I got him 8 years ago. He just had his 10th birthday, literally like 2 days ago. And when I adopted him, I went to the shelter, and he was actually named Bono at the shelter. And as much U2's great music, I was like, that's not happening. I'm not calling him Bono the rest of my life. So I'm a huge metalhead, obviously. So I had a choice. It was either Ozzy for Ozzy Osbourne or Dio for Ronnie James Dio. And I literally picked him up, or I put him on the ground. I go, do you want to be Ozzy or Dio? And when I said Ozzy, his ears perked up and ran towards me. So I was like, you're Ozzy for life. That's it. So yeah, it's fully named after Ozzy.
Is it a coincidence that it would have been named after a Black Sabbath singer either way?
I think that's just the amazingness of Black Sabbath. So that's just perfect.
Like you were naming, technically Rob Halford sang for 2 gigs, and there was like David Donato or something like that. Your dog wasn't Donato or Ray Gillen or something like that. It was Ozzy or Dio.
It was Ozzy or Dio. He's the most famous person of the pizzeria. I literally every day get more people asking where's Ozzy than hey, how are you? It's amazing. I love it.
Well, 2-parter, and then you're a free man from having to talk to me. And the first one is, what is your go-to on the menu when you're not concerned about what you're eating for dietary reasons? You're not concerned about food prep, and you go, I have to eat here today. What are you eating?
I'm taking our tomato pie, the Leota, every day. It's just perfect in its simplicity. It's just tomato sauce, olive oil, and Parmesan cheese cooked well done. But it's just so simple, yet it balances so well that anytime I order that myself, I eat it anywhere I go. It's just that's my go-to every time.
The last question, tying in with the wrestling event that's around Valentine's Day, Mega Powers have a pizza named after them. I'm presuming that's the Randy Savage Hulk Hogan combo right there. Were the Mega Powers the greatest tag team of all time?
I'm going to answer that in the only way I can. Oh, yeah. 100%.
Paltrocast.